Uh, this is Margaret in Windsor, and the reason I'm taking this is, let's see if I can get another one here. I've got a bunch of it. But this is the person that, well, I can't get his picture now. I'm trying to again. I've got it on other stuff. But right here, this, well, it won't stay on for some reason. This is, that was the person that's claiming to be my son Mark Childers out in, I'm showing my bed and everything here, I guess, out in KRUM, Texas. Uh, Let me say this. He has my son everything, where he went to college. In other words, he has my stolen my son's identity, Mark's. That is not Mark. And on Facebook, not long ago, he wanted to friend me again. So I did because I wanted to see the pictures he had as backup for being Mark Childers. That's not even Scott, my son, he has on there, the one picture. He had a picture of supposedly my ex-husband, their father. In no way was that him. He corresponds and Facebooks with Laura Childers, which is my ex-husband's sister, and she lives just outside Austin. I've forgotten the name of the town. But anyway, she was a certified public accountant. Her and last name's Klein, Childers Klein, Laura Childers Klein. The reason I'm saying this person put on there the other day that everything I said was a lie. And I haven't said anything because I can't, the law doesn't work for me. I know that that's not Mark, and I know that it's not Scott, my son. So both identities have been stolen. This whole thing makes me appear, if you don't follow it, I couldn't make the mess up. I put it on YouTube. I put it on Facebook. The media won't cover it. I use a Hustler magazine because Mr. Flint was one who did try to do something, and he was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, while I was doing a book, MD, A License to Kill. It was about mind control, murders, and programming. It involved Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctor, and later the plane he was on, the KAL, was shot down by the Soviets when it veered into their airspace. And this is part of what mind control can do. You can program the pilots. I don't care if you put 1, 2, or 3 on there. They can all be under mind control and told what to do, veer into a mountain. So anyway, not to get lost on the point I'm trying to make here is that Mr. Flint was shot and the person was programmed to shoot me. Well, maybe oh wow. Anyway, to shoot Mr. Flint and kill his attorney. So he flew me out there when Larry McDonald's plane went down. He even wrote that in the endorsement he did in April issue of '84 that I usually show. But I don't want to get too far off because last time I really saw my kids was one time in '82. And that was when they were forced to do something. I'd done the book and had antifreeze put in the April Fool Day of '80 because this whole thing has been one big April Fool joke that the United States could kidnap me. And I put on here who I am and that my sons Mark and Scott are heirs. And that's what scares me. If there's somebody taking care of them and they've deliberately put doubles and assume their identity, that's one thing. But if these doubles are going to threaten me on Facebook or threaten me if I keep putting up on YouTube nothing but the truth, so help me God, I couldn't even go into getting all of it. It's been one hell all of my life and to my sons. And I don't like this guy saying he's my son that I just showed you. He's calling himself Big Daddy Pump or something. This is not my son. How dare you? And then to call me a liar when you don't even know me. I will say this, the one saying he was Scott, suddenly a Virginia State trooper come up with their identity. I thought, out of all this, I found him after all these years. Well, the one saying he was Scott came up here and actually stayed in Roanoke, and he confused me because you want to think that's your son, you found them. And he actually had a book from Cobb County, Georgia, and by golly, I mean, his voice, it kills you. He looked different, totally different to a degree. And what finally gave it away was I was looking at his arms. And my son Scott's 6'4". His arms were short. I thought, this is not my son. Uh, so anyway, he's got Scott's identity and everything, and I haven't seen him. He left and in essence told me that Mark and they knew each other. They conversed just like they were Mark and Scott. And of all things, I live in Roanoke, Virginia, and at that time, the one saying he's Mark lived in Roanoke, outside Dallas, Texas. Now then, I'm going to cut this short. I put it on here because I've been through hell. I haven't lied. I've told the truth about it all, and I can't get the media to do anything about it, and I've gone to social media. So anyway, I was told by a forest ranger here, Eric. Okay, this was on Mark's birthday, July the 18th of 10, I believe. He told me out at North Creek Campground, and I won't tell who he referred to as saying it's true, that that's not Mark and Scott. That Mark, the one playing Mark, I just showed you his picture, and he sent this to me, by the way, so I haven't lost it, fella. He sent this to show they wear masks is what the one saying he was Scott that was up here in 2010. And then I went out to North Creek and the ranger was there, Eric, and he told me that Mark, the one in Texas, at the time he lived in Roanoke, that he was really a Texas Ranger. Well, I'd like to know if they double dip or what. Are they getting paid to be rangers, or are they getting paid to work for the bank? And I'm not going to mention the bank he works for. He's on Facebook, and you can Google him. But how dare him? I kept quiet about that because I don't want to endanger my son in any way. If there's somewhere being taken care of, and this was part of it, giving them their identities. But right now, I don't think that's the truth at all. And the one that played Scott that was actually up here in Roanoke in 2010 is a U.S. Marshal. Now, the Marshal here has told me that, but I know it. I mean, he come in, and before he left, the one saying he was Scott, I mean, he said enough all the time he was here, but he actually, before he left, he said that he and Mark, the one playing Mark, actually wore, I can't remember, I thought they said socks. They're face masks. And evidently they can take them off and on, and they are so trained. I mean, really, they knew everything about my children, and they had their social security numbers, and it scares me. All this mess has been to make me look like, in other words, about 2 weeks ago when a bunch of stuff happened that's unbelievable too, I'm not going to put it on here. The guy walked up to me and said, they've tried to make you the crazy one, haven't they? And the other stuff I got from, just like they tried to make my dad, look what they did to my father, if you care to go back and look. I found out in '83 after that campaign, and I was out at Flint's, and it's the British that told me. My father's Edward VIII, and he was married to Claudia O'Keefe of Madison, Wisconsin, sister to Georgia, not to Wallace Warfield Simpson, who married an imposter. And my great-uncle George, the fifth illegal, Elizabeth's father, stole the crown. They put a 99-year seal on it and kidnapped me and sent me to Alabama, where I grew up thinking I was Peggy Ann Dempsey, a married to Childers. And, in fact, I was supposed to be I thought I was a twin. The twins were murdered. They were born out of wedlock. And I've shown this on all the videos because somebody down there recently sent me pictures of that family that was made when I was kidnapped a couple of years later. So I